Hi, this is Tanya from Love Buddha Tarot. Right, okay. I don't normally go on at this time on a Sunday morning, but I really wanted to today because this full moon that is coming, there are a lot of messages coming through with this. Now, I don't know what the internet connection is like here, so I'm going to try and just see how this works, see if people come on and hopefully they get the message. Now, like I say, I don't know if it's working. If it is, I'm just waiting for some people to come on and we'll start. Now, what I want to say while I'm waiting for people is that people have been saying I haven't been coming on a lot and I haven't been doing a lot of videos, and that is correct. Now, the reason being is I'm really not feeling social media at the moment. Now, one of the things with social media is the constant shadow banning, people impersonating me as well. Every time I go onto social media and I start to be active on it, the scammers actually start up again. And I don't want to feed them with that. So I am looking at different ways in which I can get a work out there. One of the things I'm looking at is Substack. Is if anybody uses Substack, could they please let me know? Let me know kind of what it's like for the user, because that is something I'm seriously thinking of. Hi, Magic. Because I think on Substack, I can go live on there. I can put a lot more writings on. I can do daily cards. I can do things like that where I can be more interactive with people. Like I say, the Instagrams and all of that, I'm just not feeling it at the moment. Every time I go on, the impersonators come out again and the scammers, and I don't want people being scammed. So that is something that I am looking at. If this is something that you are interested, please drop me a line either on social media. I know that sounds quite ironic, either on social media or drop me an email, and I will let you know the details, because I don't want to stop work. I want to still be out there. I want to still give the messages, but it's proven very hard. There are things stopping us at every angle. Okay. So I'll just go straight in this because I don't know what the internet connection is like. Yeah, Patreon as well. I have got a Patreon that I don't really use. I might look into that. That's what I'm doing at the minute, Magic. I'm looking at Patreon and I'm looking at Substack and seeing which one would be the best. Okay, because like I say, I do still want to be out there. I miss you all. And there's a lot of spirit messages that I get that I can't find a way to actually get them out. But today I'm here, and hopefully the internet kicks in with this. So today we have the Capricorn moon. Now, the thing with this Capricorn moon, what is interesting about it is the second one that we've had. This is quite a rarity. This doesn't happen. So we've had a Capricorn full moon, we've had a Cancer new moon in between, and then now we have another Capricorn. So what I would say, the first thing is, how has this last month been for you? What has came up to you? What has came up either to be processed or to be to be seen? Something things have happened this month. It's been a very, very, very insightful month, I say. Hey, Richard, good morning. I was just thinking about you yesterday. I hope you're well, and please drop me a message after this, and then we can catch up. That would be lovely. So what has been coming up for you this last month? Now Capricorn is about, it's about where we want to go for the future. And this is where the messages I want to say here, because it's not unnerving me, but it's something that I have been made aware of and made aware of a lot. Okay, so I've just got notes. I was lying in bed this morning, they were giving me all of this information, so I want to give this out. Now, one of the things I want everybody to be really, really aware of at this time is division. Okay, there is, even saying this, I can feel it. There is a lot of fear being put into the world. Okay, not that there's a lot of fear in the world, there is a lot of fear being put into the world. I don't like to speak woo woo, but I feel there are some dark spells being cast at this moment. Okay. And I just want to say, please don't fall under it. Okay. See everything as neutral. Watch as an outsider, see what is going on, but don't fall into one side or the other, because when the right hand is waving, look at the left hand's doing. When the left hand is waving, look at what the right hand's doing. They're all of the same bird. So what I want to do is say, take a step back, okay? There is a lot of false light there at the moment. I've just seen videos this morning of people videoing ayahuasca ceremonies and things like that. And that, to me, that is a sacred act, okay? That isn't how it should be. And one of the things that came through with this Capricorn moon is that things are to be sacred and not to be scared, okay? If you think sacred and scared are basically the same letters, it's just how we arrange them. What I'm also seeing as well within the world is a lot of inner child tantrums coming up. Okay. There is so much wounding in the world, because there is so much light now, it is allowing this shadow to be seen. And what we are seeing is a lot of people in power and things like that that are having these inner child turmoil that they have, and they're having tantrums, and this is playing out with our lives. Okay, so this is what I'm saying. Please look at it with compassion, because everybody who is doing whatever they are doing is coming from a wounded place rather than a place of their worth. Okay, so have this compassion for that, but as well be aware of it. Okay, these little tantrums that are playing out are actually, do you know what I mean? What's the word? Tumultuous? Is that a word? That's a word I've just been given. You know, they can be dangerous. So, like I've said, I'm not feeling social media at the moment. I know this is how a lot of people connect, myself included. I have friends all over the world, and that is how we connect with it. But be aware of who you're following, who is following you as well. Okay, that's they've just come in there, because there are people sitting on the sidelines who might not be saying anything, but they're thinking things or they're doing things. Okay, so be aware of that and be the gatekeeper of your mind. Notice what is going into your mind. Is it nourishing? Is it feeding you? Is it compassionate? Is it making you feel better? Because if it's not, then cut it out. It's almost like having a detox. And I'm not saying having a social media detox, because there is some amazing work out there. There is some people doing absolutely amazing work. However, it's quite unbalanced at this moment. There's the minority and then there's the majority. And everybody's looking for the shiny thing. They want this shiny thing that's going to make things better. But shiny, it's is that really shiny? Is that really gold, or is it just something that's painted gold to give the illusion? I've had this, I've spoke with this with clients, about people looking at social media and seeing that they're not where they're meant to be, because they see everybody else's lives. And I want to tell you that a majority of that is absolute bullshit. People are playing to the cameras. They're playing to, playing to the masses in a way. And as I've said this before, any guru who is out there, or anybody doing any spiritual work who says that they've got it all together, please don't believe them, because this is a very, very testing time, and it's a very, very testing time for light workers as well. The ones I speak to, the ones I connect with, everybody's like, basically like, what the fuck, because there is so much going on. Okay, so remember, please remember, the menu is not always the meal. Okay, you can be sold something that isn't always true. It's not what you get delivered. It's like, what is it, Timu? Is it Timu or Shine? There's Shine that people are buying a lot of stuff off, and they're just like, they look good on the photos, but when they get it, it's not real. It's not how it was described. So please be careful that this is happening within the world. I want to say as well, please, with media outlets, with news corporations, please be very careful where you get your news from. News is there to scare us. Okay, when we are in fear, we can't be in love. And what is needed hugely at this time is for us to be in love, for us to be in our hearts. Okay, whatever it is, if it's somebody really pissing us off, if it's something really, really triggering us, then go into the heart and have compassion for the self. Now, I wasn't going to say this, but I will. They've just brought it in, so I will. So, as I mentioned, we have the Capricorn moon 4 weeks ago, then we had the Cancer moon 2 weeks ago, and then we've got another Capricorn moon tonight. So, the Cancer moon, though, so much was coming up for me, like really, really a lot coming up for me, a lot of triggers, a lot of stuff. So, I sat in ceremony and I sat with medicine, which is go to, when there's something that I can't sort out with my head. And what was really interesting, it came up abandonment and it came up betrayal. And basically, I was taken to everybody in life who had, in some way hurt me through abandonment, betrayal, deceitfulness, something like that. And I seen them all. And the voice that would normally shout to me, going, "You see, you're pathetic, you're not worthy, you're all of that," because I've got it as well. We all have it. We all have that little voice, that tries to pull us down. I could hear it, but I wasn't listening to it. But what was really interesting was another voice came in and said, "I am really sorry that things happen to you within your life that now make you feel this way when you get close to people. I am really sorry that you weren't loved in the way that you needed. Your feelings are valid. If you look at that, there is a reason why you are feeling this way, you know. But don't worry, I'm here. I've got you." So the compassion that came through with this Cancer moon was so, so beautiful, because it took it a lot of times when we have triggers or we have trauma. You know, usually this has happened when we were in childhood, okay? And when we are children, we do not know that the world doesn't revolve around us yet. We are egocentric. So if mommy is angry, then what have I done wrong? If daddy leaves, then what have I done wrong? So we hold these without even knowing. Um, but what we need to realize is this: none of this was our fault. None of it. I mean, some of you on here will be parents, and you know that sometimes you've done things that, probably weren't coming from your best self, but you've done with what you had at the time. And people can only actually meet you where they're at. And a lot of times our parents were carrying the trauma and the generational trauma, and they knew no different. And this is why this generation, our generation, are going through it, all of the time. It was funny, I was talking to a friend the other day, and this young kid in the street shouted at us as we were driving past. And my friend went, "That would never have happened any day." He said that, the guy would have got out of the car and he would have went and give them a clout or something, and that didn't do us any harm. And I said, no, it didn't. I said, but most of us are now like in the throes of addictions, and we are living our lives through the trauma lens. And it was like, all right, yeah, it was, wasn't it? But this is why we are here now, to break that generational trauma, to recognize it. Because once we actually see it and stand and look it in the face and give it the time, rather than trying to push it away or trying to run from it or escape from it, in whatever way we do, because we've all got our ways. Once we actually stop and we look at it and we get curious, and we go, right, okay, what is really happening here? Where did that start? And how am I going to end it? Okay. And the way we can do that is with compassion. Because at the end of the day, what we needed as an inner child was compassion. If we had all of these big feelings that we didn't know how to deal with, we didn't need to be sent to our room. We didn't need to be scolded. We didn't need to be beat. We didn't need to be abandoned in that time. We needed somebody to listen, somebody to hold that space for us so we could process what was going on in our little bodies. Okay? So now we are the ones that have to do that for ourselves. Okay? And it's almost like, divide it. See yourself as the adult and the child. What would you say to that child, knowing the life that you've had? What would you say now if you've seen somebody seen a child going through exactly what you went through? Because now you have the wisdom, because you've had the experience of how that doesn't work for you. So that is where we can come in with compassion. And what is happening now within the world where it is, it's a mess. But there is always a blessing in this mess. Always. You know, a lot of clients will say to me, they'll tell me something that's going on with them. And then I relay that back to them and they'll go, I never seen it like that. I was seeing it in a completely different way. And that is because they're seeing it through that lens of their trauma, their perspective, the life that they've lived. And all we need is for somebody to just flip that. Say, no, look at it. There is always another side. With duality, it's got to be. You know, if there's light, there's dark. If there's night, there's day. And also, these are the laws of the universe. But sometimes we need somebody else to flip them for us. You know, this is why I work with coaches. You know, I can't do it alone. None of us can. Because what we do is we go around the same cycle and the same cycle all of the time. You know, and this is the beauty with the work. I allow people to see the cycle that they're in and change it. And that is a blessing for me. You know, it's an honor to be able to see people do that. So this is the time when we've got to do it. You know, we've got to do it. Like I say, the world is a mess at the minute, but if we have a war inside of us, that is going to spill out on the outside. I was reading for somebody yesterday, and it was so interesting because it was a friend, and I was showing them the tarot. I was teaching them the tarot as we were reading, and it was interesting that every single card they got out had they seen a negative um, message coming with it. Even these big positive cards. I was like, wow, that's interesting. Where are you at in your life now? What is going on? And this person is in turmoil. So everything they seen was turmoil. They couldn't see light. They couldn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. They were just seeing the mess that they were embroiled in. So we had to work on it and we had to flip that. And in the end, it was like, oh, wow, that's the way I've been looking at the world. So if you think the world is a horrible place, then it will be. Because what you will do and what your ego will do is will try and find all of the what's the word? The evidence, that's the word. All of the evidence to make that true. Okay? Because that's what it wants to do. The ego wants to be right all the time, and it will find everything, you know, to say that that is true. But the soul knows that we know what's going on and we're here for a reason. And the soul will see the beauty in that. Like I say, 2 weeks ago, you know, I sat with medicine. It was gnarly. It wasn't good. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't nice. But the beauty within that was stunning as well. Because I was shifting something, you know. Afterwards, I was able to speak very openly and honestly about vulnerability and things that at one time I would have been very scared to tell somebody. I would have hidden them and I would have put a mask on. But I was able to just go, all right, this came up for me. You triggered me, you know, which in a beautiful way, you triggered me. So I went in and I, you know, wherever you were pointing, I was sorting that out. And this is what I found, you know? So it's like, yeah, great. So sorry, somebody sent me messages there about politics. That's very, very apt. So this is what it is, you know, when we own our shadow, it stops owning us. We all have one, you know, we all have one. Sorry, I've just put the plug in there. We all have one. Oh, shit. Sorry about that. We all have one, and it's when we start owning it, it stops owning us. And when we are in peace within ourselves, you know, they say, be the change you want to see in the world. So it doesn't matter how nasty people are being or whatever. Please don't go over to their level because they are in fear. So we can live our life. Are we going to live a sacred life where everything we say it's there from God, the universe, whatever, and whatever we're presented with, we see it as a lesson and a blessing rather than a struggle and, you know, something having a go at us and taking it personal? That is a choice we have. So we can live in sacred, which is when we live in love. We can live in fear where we become scared. And every day is a choice. Every situation we're presented with is a choice. But remember, a choice is what we make from within, not from without. You know, what was it I heard yesterday and I thought it was beautiful? And it said, when you, it was something like, when you have nothing and when you have no fear, that is when you were free. So notice the people around you. Notice they say we're like the 5 people that we hang around with most. And notice, do they lift your spirits or do they bring them down? You know, if you get a phone call from somebody, what is the first thing they say? Is it like, oh, I've done this amazing thing, or I've seen this beautiful sunset, or blah, blah, blah? Or is it, oh, neighbor was doing this, or whatever, you know? And if it's the latter, then we need to say, I'm sorry, I don't want to hear about that. Today it was funny, my friend is traveling today and I booked the flights and everything for them. And then I got a message today. I was lying in bed and they were like, I'm gonna be late, I'm gonna miss the flight. I just thought, no, there's plenty of time. So I didn't respond. And then it was like, the traffic's been terrible, blah, 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 all of that. And it was like, I didn't respond. I could tell my friend was in panic. I could tell, and I knew that there was nothing that I could say or do that would have stopped that panic. They were in that panic moment. So then they got to the airport. I don't think I'm going to be able to check in. Can you check in for me? I said, I've tried. I can't. You know, it's not working. And then I got a message in, all done now. Wow, that was close. And it was, I could have joined in with that, with these messages, and then I would have been stressed as well because I was picking up that stress. But I knew there was plenty of time. I knew that the flight they were going to get, there's another one coming in an hour. So it wasn't a big, big drama. Okay. And I chose, it's a Sunday morning. I was lying in bed. I was chilling. I was talking to Spirit. And it was like, I don't want that in my life today. You know, it will all sort out. And if it doesn't, you know, we will sort it. So there's always a solution to every problem. So it's just being aware of, you know, where we get this stuff from. And it can be people that we love dearly, and that's totally fine, you know. But what we do is do not engage. The first art of war is do not engage in it. You know, if they're going through something, that's it. Be there, support them, hold that space, but don't allow ourselves to go into it. A lot of things as well, when I'm, you know, when I'm teaching spirituality, when I'm teaching tarot, when I'm teaching how to be in this world, the first thing I'll say to people is ask, is this mine? Because we can get feelings, we can pick up so much, and a lot of times it's not even ours. Okay. So we've got to discern, is this mine? Is there anything I can do about it in this moment? You know, can I surrender to what is happening without putting a projected outcome on, or a projected that this is negative or positive? Can I just be with it, whatever's happening, you know, and still stay in this place of peace within the self? So when they say this is, you know, this is spiritual work, it is work. It doesn't just come naturally. You know, I've been doing this work for 20 years, and it's still a daily practice, you know, still a daily practice. I've got to get back into that. And sometimes I slip, but then it's always getting back on that horse. Always, you know. So one of the things I would say with the way the world is at this moment is get yourself a spiritual practice. Now, that doesn't mean you've got to sit and sing Kumbaya and stuff like that. You know me. I'm not for all of that, you know, that woo-woo stuff and that showmanship within spirituality. You know, but make that practice, even if it's when you get your cup of tea on the morning. You know, I make a cup of tea, I put reishi in it, I put lion's mane in it, and I sit and I allow myself 5 to 10 minutes of just being, letting things come, letting them come, not chasing them, just being there. Whatever's in your head, let it out. And then it's like, okay, how do I want today to be? What can I do to make today be like that? You know? And that's it. That is spiritual practice, because spirituality, and what I've learned within all these years, and don't get me wrong, I've done all of the courses, I've done the Buddhist retreats, I've done this, I've, you know, done the Kundalini yogas, I've done all of it. Okay, because I'm a seeker. I will never stop searching. But what I have came to the conclusion with, and it's like religion, you know, is that At the end of the day, it all comes down to authenticity. Are we being authentic? Are we saying yes when really we mean no? Because if we say yes to somebody and say that we're saying no to ourselves, we will build resentment. We will not like that. We will not be fully in it. We cannot be there with an open heart. Okay? So, like all religions, it boils down to love. That's it. But the control is put there. So authenticity is love. Okay? It's being loving to the self. It's allowing that space for the self to be seen, to be heard, and to act exactly as it is. And that is love. When we talk about unconditional love and love with another, what is love? A lot of times we meet somebody who we think is the ideal person, and then we try and change them and we try and change them into what we feel their life would be better. And in doing that, what we do is we actually stop them from learning the lessons that they need to become their best self. I had somebody say to me the other day, I can be completely myself with you, the worst parts and good parts. And that's totally okay. And I said, yeah, that's what it is. I'm not going to judge. And the thing is, when we give somebody the space to be themselves, miracles can occur. When we show up in our truth, then that gives permission to other people to show up in their truth too. When we are telling them you need to do this and you need to do that to be a good person, you need to do that and you need to do that to be loved, all we're doing is causing resistance. I always say it when somebody tells me I should, it means I shouldn't. Even if it's the best thing for me to do, if somebody is telling me I should do this, straight away defenses are up and I will do the opposite. You know? So often when we're trying to help somebody, we're trying to help them from our vision rather than saying, okay, I tell you what, that's your baggage. Why don't we put it all on the table and unpack it? See what it is you want to keep and see what it is you want to throw out and help you do that. I can be here while you do that. A lot of times when we see somebody in pain, we try to fix it. And this is one of the keys of the unintegrated masculine, which is really interesting. I will talk about the unintegrated feminine as well, because that is, if there's a problem there, there's a problem there as well. Okay. But it's trying to fix things, trying to fix it. Okay, I'll make it better. I'll make it better. And it doesn't make it better. Sometimes just that holding that and going, okay, really sorry you're feeling like that. If there's anything that I can do, give me a shout, and that's it. Just being in this presence and of allowing yourself to feel whatever you are feeling in that moment, allowing other people to feel what they're feeling in the moment. Now, I'm not saying don't have boundaries or anything, because if somebody is causing you pain, really, then you have a boundary and you don't allow that. Okay. But you also look at that pain that they're causing and going, right, is this something I need to deal with and I need to fix and I need to get curious about and I need to untangle? Or is it them having some sort of tantrum that they're trying to give to me? Because if they do, then you go, I'm sorry, that's not mine. There you go, you take it back. Come back when it's sorted. So is this making sense on what I'm saying, where it's we can have that peace within the self at all times? Even if there's a war going on, we can listen, we can see the both sides. And this is what we need to be able to do. And as I spoke about before, I said, about the unintegrated masculine. The masculine and feminine is so important at this time. It is so important. This is what we need to do. This is what we need to do. We need to unite. That is it. We need to unite. That is when we will reach divinity. And this is when we allow the differences, when we allow, the masculine to be the masculine and the feminine to be the feminine, when we understand what that means. The masculine is protector, provider, all of that. The feminine is receptive, caring, nurturing. And what's happened within the world, and I do not feel that this is by chance, I feel this has been, like I say, some dark spells going on, and spelling is words that are there, and words that are said. So we have been took away from our roles that much, and it's almost like we're going to fight each other. We're enemies. Come on, let's fight the other. When really the key to, I believe, all of the world's problems is when we see the other and we go, okay, let's love together. Let me listen to you and please listen to me. Let me hear you. Let me hear of your wounds. Let me hear of your fears. Let me hear, you know, what scares you for the future. And please hear mine. And then we can work together to help each other get through it. And that is the key. We are complementary. And when we work in harmony, it works. We are separate still, but we are together. There is autonomy, but there is union as well. And this, I feel, is the key because at this moment, all of these problems that we have internally and the world, they're all coming to the surface, you know? And this is why we need to seek help in them. A lot of times, myself included, one of the things is I go into shell, I withdraw, I leave. And that was always one of my things. I was like, if people love me, they leave. And what I realized is they don't leave, I leave. I step out of that place of love, or I did. I step out of that place of love, and I leave and I cut off. And what that does is not allow me to resolve that conflict. Okay. So when it's a Virgo thing, yeah, it really is magic. But when we actually show up in that and go, right, okay, what is really going on here? Where is this within me? We're never going to learn if we constantly stay away. Like I'm in the UK now. I love a little place. I'm in a little off-grid cabin that is absolutely beautiful. I love it. I absolutely love being here. But being back in the UK is hard. There is family stuff coming up. There is old stuff coming up. I can't be when I'm on an island, a beautiful island lying on the beach. I'm away from all of the past. And here, I've got to revisit it. I've got to look at it and I've got to say, that is part of me in there. The stuff that I don't like, it's what I was built on. And it's not always easy, but by just running away from it, I was never going to heal it. And in order to heal, we have to feel. Okay. We have to be safe to feel. This Capricorn, Moon Capricorn is about safety. You think that mountain goat, it can stand on an angle like that because it knows it's safe. And Capricorn has two different sides. I mean, when we look at tarot, the devil in the tarot is ruled by Capricorn. But, even within the tarot, the devil, he is truth. He says, I don't take power from people. They give it to me willingly. And this is what we've got to look at. Where are we giving our power? Because that power that we can give to an addiction or something like that, which the devil represents, can also be used to climb Mount Everest, to do these amazing feats, that people say are impossible. And what we've got to look at as well is what are our beliefs? Because if we believe something, we will see it. Okay. If we believe the world has gone to shit and it is going to be this dystopian future, like Mad Max crap and all of that, then that's what we will find. Because as I've said, the ego wants to find evidence for to make us scared, to make us be in fear. It wants to find that evidence to validate what it wants us to feel. But if we think of the future can be utopia and it can be that, people are coming together because mainly if you look at the times in history when there has been huge trauma, we look at the wars, and we look at, like I say, the Second World War, things like that. The camaraderie was there, the connection was there, the community was there. People shared from their ration books in order to make the meal better. They lived abundantly, even though they were living in huge uncertainty. And if we can take a leaf out of their book, if we think if there's a natural disaster, look for the helpers, the people that always go to help. You see something on the road, you stop, you go to help that situation. And what Spirit have told me is that we have moved as a collective that far away from our natural empathy. I mean, even, you know, if we look at how people are looking now, and this isn't coming from a place of judgment, it's from observation, and people are changing their faces, the fillers, the botox, all of that. And what that does is that changes our empathy, because we are social beings. Okay, we are animalistic. So when we are talking to another, even there, look at my eyebrows are raising, you can see, and I'm getting passionate, we pick up on clues like that. If your head was completely like that and then you couldn't see it, you wouldn't be able to get the true feeling of where I was coming from or who I was. In the same way, I wouldn't be able to express myself in that way. So all of these little things are moving us further and further away from our natural empathy. And this is what we have. If we look at pack animals, they have empathy, you know? So I believe, and what I've been told is that things have to get darker in order to re-trigger that within us. Because it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter who that person is. When somebody is in massive need, we go to them. You know, if we are in hospital and our loved one is in hospital and they need blood or something like that, we don't say, I don't want blood from this person or that nationality or that preference. I don't. We don't. We want whatever is going to save our loved one or ourselves. So this division that I do believe is being planned like hugely. You know, it is. We really realize that we are not different. Okay. When we realize that we're all the same, and that person, no matter what side they are on, might be a side that totally doesn't work for you or is totally against what you believe. If we condemn them because it doesn't fit in with how we believe, we are never going to learn. So to me, it's about having these conversations. It's about realizing that differences are okay. Just because things are different doesn't mean they have to be enemies. And it's also looking really at where is our fear about that? What is it that scares us about something that we don't know? Okay. Because I feel there are, like I say, there are a lot of, it's the minority groups that are going to be almost like going to be used as cannon fodder. That's how I seen it. And I don't like this at all. Okay. So I believe in a world of harmony, of everybody coming together. We can all learn from somebody. I have friends of a lot of different nationalities, and what I would say is it's taught me to be a better person. When I see how different people work. When I cook now, it's very rare I cook English food, which is what I was grown up on. Because these different flavors that I have picked up from different people all enhance what was quite bland. So when we say that, we can embrace differences and we can learn from them and they can actually enhance our life rather than actually destroy our life, you know, then we realize that, hold on, a lot of this that we're being told or shown is not coming from the heart and it's not true. The heart only speaks in truth. The head speaks from fear. That's where the mind comes from. So what this is saying is, remember this is all part of this is spiritual practice too. You know, and you be in judgment for just one day, no judgment, or recognize when you are. What would love do? Ask that. Remember love, only love today. All of these little mantras, I wear them. And that's the thing we've got to ask ourselves every day to remember to listen to music. Music helps us to connect, it helps us to feel. It is so, so important. Being in nature where we can. Nature is beautiful. It helps us to remember that we are part of something so much bigger. And connection and communication is crucial for us to thrive as human beings. And that's what we're here to master, you know, the art of being human. And the art of being human is that we'll fuck up at times. Do you know what I mean? And we'll take one step forward and two steps back. But it means we don't stop. We just keep doing that until we get into that natural flow. So with this Capricorn moon, I feel it's almost like, are we choosing to be in recovery or are we choosing to relapse? You know? So it's like, which one feels better? Sometimes the relapsing is easier because we know that. We know how that story goes. But the recovery, that's where it's like, oh right, I'm in uncertainty again. I don't know what it feels like to be this. I don't know, but you know what it feels like to be in that pit where, is life really worth it? So we've always got to have hope, okay? Like I say, I've been decorating the cabin and doing a lot of work. We've pulled walls out and God knows what. And I found an old ornament that was mother's, and it was her favorite ornament. And it's the three graces: faith, hope, and charity. And I have it next to my bed because they are the things that we need. That is to be graceful in a world, even if the world is crazy, even if the world is gruesome, to find that grace within that. To always have faith that something can get better, because without faith, what do we have? And they say that when fear knocked at the door, faith went to answer it, and there was no one there. So faith is so important. Hope, hope is, if we don't have hope, then what are we even working for? We've got to have that tiny amount of hope, a tiny amount. It can always go bigger and bigger and bigger, but we have that hope because hopelessness is a horrible place to be. And there are so many people that you will talk to that you see who are on a place where you go, wow, look at them, they're thriving. And you ask them about a time when they almost give up hope, and they will have it. But in that moment, there was one little tiny seed that kept them going. And then look at where they are now. And charity. Charity just doesn't mean just giving money or giving your old clothes to somebody that's worse off than you. It means to give what you can when you can. We can always do that. If you have one sandwich left and there's somebody there that's hungry, you can share that with them. I'm not saying make yourself a martyr. I'm not at all. That is not where I'm going with this. But charity, we can always be charitable to somebody. We always have something that other person needs, even if it's just a smile, even if it's just saying to somebody, how is your heart today? Do you know how much of a difference just asking somebody how they are and waiting to hear the answer can make in somebody's life? It's huge. I've had messages from people, people I haven't even read for, people that have just watched videos and go back and watch old ones. That's really interesting. People send me messages after they've seen an old video and they say, thank you. You make the world feel like a safer place. And wow, that touching heart, because there's times I don't feel the world's safe. But just by being there and getting up there and speaking from the heart, it touches somebody. It touches a stranger who I will probably never even meet. And I have been touched by strangers in that same way. By these messages, they don't realize that what they're giving me is just, if not more, valuable. So this is what we've got to realize, faith, hope, charity, and being in grace at all times. So I'm going to pull some cards now. Did that make sense to anybody? Did that make sense where we're at? It's like I say, it's not going to be easy, this Capricorn moon. It's not, because we've got to let go of a lot of the stuff that, even if it hasn't been good, that we're attached to. So it's look at attachments. Look at attachments. Thank you, Magic. Look at attachments that we have. Which ones are healthy? Which ones are unhealthy? Which ones do we need to strengthen? And which ones do we need to let go of? Wow, I always say that Capricorn plants the seeds today that will be our fruit for the future. So you might not see instant results. You might not. You might, because a miracle occurs the second we change our perception from fear to love. Okay. So you might. But when we look at the longer game and the long term and the long haul, we'll see this, we'll see this. We don't know what ripples are actually here at this moment. Oh, this is interesting. Wow, wow, wow. Whew. So, what this is saying is we all have this passion, okay? We all have this passion inside of us. We have this fire. We want to fight for what's right. We want to, we want to go out. We want to live with life. We want to feel that wind in our hair, feel that sun on our face, and we've got that. Like, think about it now. I don't know where you are, but think about that wildness, allowing yourself to be in that wild, that just embracing life, that just remember when we were school kids and you just left school and you were free and there was this big world ahead of us. You know, tap into that feeling now. Tap into it and feel it. Think about it. You'll go back to a place where you felt that. You felt that freedom. You felt that anything was possible. Eh? Feel how good that feels. I'm getting goose pimples here. Truth bumps, I always call them. So think about that feeling, get it there, lock it in. Lock it in, that feeling. So that is there. You can remember that your body can go there. If you can go there in the mind, you'll go there in the body. So your body will actually respond to that. Okay. And now realize what is getting in the way of you feeling that now. Because the interference that I'm getting here, it's Wi-Fi signals, it's information, it's like this information highway. All of the things, oh, you don't do that, then that could be, you could be harmed in doing that. All of these things that used to allow us to be free, there have been these rules and regulations put on them. And now we are scared of them. We are scared to do that, you know? And what they're doing here is it's wanting to keep us in this cage. We are not to be caged. You're not to be caged. That is not how we were born to live. We were born to be free. And freedom, it doesn't matter what the politicians are saying or whatever about freedom. Freedom comes from within, okay? And it comes from the heart. There you go. Fulfillment, you know? That's it. That's it. It's when we are in love, we are free. It doesn't matter what they do to us, Look at these people, look at Julian Assange. All of these years, he has been locked up for speaking his truth. He is free now. He's a free man, but he was free all of the time in that. Nelson Mandela, all of these people who were persecuted for their beliefs. Joan of Arc, what did she say? I'm not afraid. I was born to do this. They said, go, come our way, renounce your God and have ours, and we will let you free. He said, no, this is me. I'm free and I'm being me. And even if that means sacrificing it all for it, freedom is most important. So this is what it's telling us to do here, to see things from a different way, to see how we can be of assistance within the world, because I believe every single one of us has a purpose on this planet. And the way we fulfill that purpose is to be authentic and to live as we are meant to be. When we do that, then our purpose will become clear. So when people come and they've lost their purpose. They don't know what they want to be because they're trying to find their purpose from a place where they are a person that they aren't. Does that make sense? So they're trying to find their purpose from this plastic kind of pantomime person that's not who they really are. So authenticity is key in finding your purpose. Okay, and anything that isn't authentic, then letting it go. Anything that doesn't allow you to be authentic, then letting it go. We can only create when we're coming from that place of balance. A lot of times people do it when they're coming from a place of lack. Oh, I've lost everything. I've got to change it. And then they work and they work and they change it. And then what happens is they fall back into lack again because they stop putting the effort in, they stop putting the work in. They go back to the old ways. And then the cycle continues. But what this is saying is this is a chance for us to change the cycle, change our own cycles. And when we do this, what we do, when we rise higher in vibration, that has a knock-on effect with the collective consciousness of the planet. Like it totally does. You think about it, okay? If you are in a really good mood and you're going shopping. I was in the shop the other day and I said to the woman, wow, your energy's really good. And you could say, but she lit up. And it was. I wasn't lying. You know, her energy was amazing. And this is what we need to do. We need to see how we are infectious. And it's whether we are in this scared place or whether we're in this sacred space. What is it we want to spread? You know? And I say spread love every single time. Every single time. Spread unity every single time. Look at that. I love that card. Such a beautiful card there. You know? We're all in this together. And that's where the healing comes in. That's where it is. And it's vulnerable to be authentic. You know? It's vulnerable. But it's better to be vulnerable and seen for who you are than loved for who you're not. Because if you're loved for who you're not, I see so many people in relationships and people I work with and everything like that. And a lot of times they don't even know the person they're in the relationship with, or that person doesn't know them. They say something to me and I say, well, have you told your partner? They say, oh, I couldn't say that to them. And it baffles me because it's like you're saying you're not getting loved in the way that you want to be loved or need to be loved, yet you are not showing up as you. So how can somebody love you in that way if you are not showing them that person? And this is where the truth comes in. You know, when we are in our truth, some people will like us and some people won't. We will like Marmite, you know, but that's fine. At least people are making their decision on the truth of who we are and not a projection. So when we are standing in our truth, okay, feeling all of the feelings that we're meant to feel, and that is when we're authentic. What's happening at this moment, I feel, is so people are suppressed and they've repressed their feelings and they're depressed because of this. And they're feeling like they're in the dark. But that light comes on and there will be something to inspire them. It might be you. You might inspire somebody this week, today even, that you don't know how their life is going to change by something that you say to them or some way you're going to be with them. So when we see that this is an opportunity for unity, for harmony, for, you know, to make the world a better place, every single one of us, every single one on here or watching here, we're connected in some way. And what we've got to realize is that not always going to be certain. If we're waiting for certainty, we're going to be waiting a long, long time. And it's going to be very uncomfortable. But to know that we are always safe and always safe within ourselves, okay, we can always, if we're in a place that is unsafe, we can move from that. But if we're in a place of anxiety, then everything will feel unsafe. So, what we've got to do is allow ourselves wings, free ourselves from whatever is keeping us stuck, getting out of our own way. And usually, when we're in struggle, it's usually because we either have something that we don't want or we don't have something that we do want. So, this Capricorn moon tonight is asking us to look at, are we safe where we are? If we're not, how can we change that? Is this safeness real or is this coming from an anxiety within us? Are we expecting somebody else to give us what we're not giving ourselves? Because this is it. All of these people, they want love and they want this beautiful. And when I ask my clients what they want out of love, they give me these beautiful. They've thought about it, they've felt it. They want somebody that understands them. They want somebody, who is there unconditionally. They want this, they want that, which is absolutely fine. But then when I ask if they're giving it to themselves or if they're giving that to their partner, they're not. And we've got to be able to reciprocate what we want to receive. And this is even with us. If we are not loving ourselves, how can we expect somebody to love us? We're not showing them how we need to be loved. If we are treating ourselves with kindness and generosity and respect and compassion, and honor and awe, then what we are doing is we're showing somebody else, look, this is what works for me. Can you that? And if you can't, that's cool. That's okay. And if you can, then that's okay too. But we're not looking elsewhere for our fulfillment because that is our biggest source of pain. And that is what we are addicted to because that is what society has told us that we need. We need to have this. We need to have that. We need to have the big house. We need to have the cars in the drive. We need to have all of this. We need to have all of that to be happy. And what we really need and what we truly need is what we got from the mother when we were young, or what we didn't get from the mother, but we have this idea of that's what we want. We need care. We need nurture. We need connection. We need sustenance. And if we're not getting it from the place that we want it or we feel should give us it, then we need to find somewhere that does. And that's even if that's from ourselves. And one of the things this is saying here, which is really coming through strongly now, is we don't have to keep moving away to try and find that. We have to stay with ourselves wherever we are, because that is where we will find it. So tonight it's planting the seeds. I hope there's some seeds that have gone in there, just some food for thought. Like I say, take whatever resonates with you with this and let go of what doesn't. Just to say as well, I was thinking that I don't know if this is going to happen, but I was speaking to a friend of mine last night who was in another country, and I always used to, when I was there, I used to spend the moons with her. And I said, why don't we do moon circles? Why don't we do them live on Zoom or something like that? So that is something that probably before the next moon we will be talking about and maybe planning, where it would be a Zoom call, probably about 2 hours, where there would be intentions, there would be videos like this. It would be a lot more intimate as well, because on Zoom I can see you all. You can see me. There can be questions. There can be all of that. We could do meditations. It felt good for me. It just came out of the blue and it felt good. So that is something that I feel could be on the cards in the next month or so. Okay. If it is something that you'd be interested in, then again, let me know. I want to know how I can serve better. Okay. I want to know how I can serve you better. Like I say, work has been done different because of this social media. I don't like. I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling it at this moment, and that's why I'm staying away. I did say at the beginning, if anybody didn't hear it, every time I'm going on social media to do cards or to do lives or whatever, this is when the scammers start again. I get shadow banned. And also, I the spirit will give me these words of wisdom, and I post them, and then I post a lunch, and more people like the lunch than these nuggets of gold. And I get it. I get that's part of it, but I don't want to be part of that anymore. I really can't. It's draining. There's a lot of resistance towards that. So I really want to find a way, like I say, maybe Patreon, Substack, something like that, where I can actually be more present with you. I want to be there. I love being there and connecting with you, So yeah, that's it. And like I say, I've opened readings up again. If anybody wants a reading with me, if you click below and this, I have put a link there with all of the ways that you can work with me. Like I say, I'm never about sales, I'm about souls, but it's there if you do want to work with me. So that's it. This Capricorn moon, it's going to be an interesting one. But I feel once you look at the self and where you are content and what will bring you that contentment and what will bring you that happiness within the self, then that's a good place to start. Okay. So I'm sending so much love to you all. Thank you all for being here. I really appreciate it. If you feel that this message would help any of your friends, then please share it, because that is also important as well. And yeah, just like I say, just go out and spread that little bit kindness today. Remember, faith, hope, and charity. That's what we're here to do. And the more we give, the more we get back. So it's win-win. That's how it works. And this is how this new world is going to be. It's about we, not I. So I send so much love to you all today. Have a fantastic day. That now.